Ibrahim Traoré had only 47 hours, 38 minutes, and 12 seconds left to live. He had just found a black envelope on his desk. Inside were only 4 words, 48 hours, leave or else. When his phone rang, he didn't recognize the number. "Did you find?" "The envelope?" the voice asked. "I know who you are," Traoré said, "and I promise you I'll still be here after 48 hours. The moment he hung up, a distant explosion echoed. The building across from the presidential palace was engulfed in flames. The ultimatum had begun. The morning had started like any other for Ibrahim Traoré. He had arrived at his office in the presidential palace of Ouagadougou at 5:30 a.m. before most of his staff. These early, quiet hours were when he did his best, thinking, reviewing intelligence reports and planning policy initiatives without interruption. But today something was different. The black envelope hadn't been there when he left his office last night. His security protocols were strict. No document reached his desk without being screened. Yet somehow this envelope had appeared, bypassing every layer of protection. As flames from the explosion rose across the street, his office door burst open. Security Chief Urago rushed in, hand on his weapon. "Mr. President, are you all right? We need to move you to a secure location immediately." Traoré remained seated, studying the envelope on his desk. "Who was in my office last night, Emmanuel?" "No, one, sir. The night logs show no entries after you left at 11:20 p.m. "Then we have a breach," Traoré said, his voice calm despite the chaos erupting outside. He held up the envelope. "Someone delivered this directly to my desk, and I believe they just detonated a bomb to emphasize their message." Ouagadougou's face hardened. "Let me see that, sir." "It's already been opened," Traoré replied, handing him the note with its 4 ominous words. The security chief scanned the message, his expression darkening. "This is a direct threat to your life, Mr. President. Protocol dictates immediate evacuation to the bunker." "No," Traoré said firmly, standing up. "That's exactly what they want. To disrupt governance, to show they can make me run and hide." He walked to the window, watching emergency vehicles arriving at the burning building. Was anyone hurt in the explosion? Initial reports suggest the building was empty. It was scheduled for demolition next week. Traoré nodded. A warning shot, then precise, calculated. He turned back to Ouagadougou. "I want a full security sweep of the palace. Check every camera, every log entry. Find out how that envelope reached my desk." As Ouagadougou left to carry out his orders, Traoré's private phone rang again, the same unknown number. "You're still there," the voice said. "Brave but foolish." "What do you want?" Traoré asked. "I told you already. Leave Burkina Faso within 48 hours. Resign the presidency. Cross the border. Never return. Simple." "And if I refuse?" A cold laugh came through the speaker. "The building was empty today. Tomorrow, who knows? Perhaps your sister's school, or your mother's nursing home, or maybe something more nationally significant." The call ended before Traoré could respond. His official phone rang next. It was Foreign Minister Kabor. "Mr. President, I just received an urgent call from the French ambassador. He's requesting an emergency meeting with you this morning." Traoré's eyes narrowed. "Did he say why?" "Something. About concerns for stability following the explosion." "How did he know I would be available?" "The explosion happened less than 10 minutes ago." There was a pause on the line. I don't know, sir. Tell him I'm busy managing a security situation. We can meet tomorrow." He looked at the digital clock on his wall. 5:47 a.m. Whatever game had begun, he now had 47 hours and 13 minutes to end it. And his first clue was the suspicious timing of the French ambassador's call. By 8:30 a.m., the presidential palace was in a controlled state of heightened security. Traoré had called an emergency meeting with his most trusted advisors. Security. Chief Ouagadougou, Intelligence Director Amina Konité, and Defense Minister Zongo. The security sweep found nothing, Ouagadougou reported. No unauthorized entries, no camera disruptions. Whoever delivered that envelope either has inside access or capabilities beyond our current security measures. The explosion was professional. Work, added Defense Minister Zongo. Remote detonated precision charges, minimal collateral damage, but maximum visibility. Intelligence Director Kate, a sharp-minded woman who had risen quickly through Burkina Faso's reformed intelligence service, looked troubled. Sir, there's something else you should know. In the past 24 hours, unusual financial transactions have occurred. Several million euros moving through offshore accounts linked to 3 of your cabinet ministers. Traoré's expression remained neutral, but his mind was racing. Which ministers? Foreign Minister Kabor, Economy Minister Dio, and, surprisingly, Health Minister Sawadogo. The room fell silent. These were 3 of TRI's most public-facing ministers, all involved in recent policy changes that had challenged Western interests in Burkina Faso. There's more, Konaté continued. We've detected increased encrypted communications between certain French diplomatic personnel and these accounts. Nothing explicit, but the timing is suspicious. Traoré stood and walked to the map of Burkina Faso displayed on his wall. His country, poor in resources by global standards, but rich in the determination of its people, had been pushing back against decades of neo-colonial control. Under his leadership, they had demanded renegotiation of exploitative mining contracts, expelled foreign military bases, and begun building regional alliances independent of Western approval. This is about the Chinese infrastructure deal, he said finally. We're scheduled to sign it this Friday, exactly 48 hours from now. The $5 billion infrastructure package would transform Burkina Faso's transportation and energy systems, without the predatory terms Western institutions typically demanded. It would also significantly reduce French and American influence in the region. Sir, Ouedraogo said carefully, if this threat is connected to the Chinese deal, perhaps postponing the signing would be prudent until we can ensure your safety. Traoré turned to face him. That's exactly what they want. Delay, uncertainty, an appearance of weakness that they can exploit to collapse the agreement. His voice hardened. The signing will proceed as scheduled, but we will use these 48 hours to find who's behind this and neutralize the threat. As the meeting concluded, Traoré gave clear directives. Konaté would trace the financial transactions and communications. Zongo would quietly enhance security around key infrastructure and Traoré's family members. Ouedraogo would investigate potential inside sources of the security breach. Alone in his office afterward, Traoré checked his personal security protocols. He opened a hidden safe behind a painting of Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary hero. Inside was a satellite phone not connected to any government system, a loaded handgun, and a flash drive containing evidence he had been gathering for months, evidence of foreign interference in Burkina Faso's affairs. His secure line rang. It was Amina Konaté. Sir, we found something. The phone that called you. We've traced its last location to the French embassy. By midday, the first assassination attempt came. Traoré was heading to a scheduled meeting with military commanders when his convoy took an unexpected detour. Sir, there's been a change of plans, his driver announced. Security Chief Ouedraogo ordered we take you to the secondary command center. Traoré immediately sensed something was wrong. I wasn't informed of any change. The order came through just minutes ago, sir. Urgent protocol. Traoré studied the driver's face in the rearview mirror. This man had been with his security detail for over a year, but something in his demeanor felt off. Call Ouedraogo, Traoré ordered his personal security officer seated beside him. Confirm this change directly. The officer dialed, then frowned. No answer, sir. Try his secondary line. Another attempt. Another failure to connect. Traoré made a split-second decision. Stop the vehicle. Now, sir. My orders. I said stop. Traoré's voice carried the unmistakable authority of command. The driver hesitated, then pulled over on the outskirts of Ouagadougou, where the urban landscape began giving way to more isolated terrain. "Where exactly is this secondary command center?" Traoré demanded. "Sir, it's the facility near the old mining complex," the driver replied, a bead of sweat now visible on his temple despite the air conditioning. Traoré knew immediately that was a lie. No such facility existed. "Step out of the vehicle," he ordered the driver. "Hands where I can see them." The standoff lasted only seconds. The driver reached for something under his seat, but Traoré's security officer was faster. Brief struggle ensued before the officer had the driver pinned to the ground. A search revealed a syringe filled with clear liquid and a satellite phone with just one number in its call log. Back at the palace, under intense interrogation, the driver broke quickly. He had been approached 3 days ago by a French businessman who offered him $50,000 to drive Traoré to a remote location where others would be waiting. He claimed not to know the ultimate plan, but the syringe's contents, later analyzed as a powerful sedative, suggested abduction rather than immediate assassination. "They're trying to take me alive," Traoré told his crisis team after reviewing the interrogation report. "Why?" "Leverage," suggested Intelligence Director Konate. "Force you to sign something under duress, make announcements they can record, or extract information about our defense systems, or create a power vacuum they can fill with someone more see." To any official record. "What happened at the palace?" Traoré asked, as Wedogo secured the doors and windows. "Professional job. They cut power to the entire grid sector, then used electromagnetic pulse devices to disable our backup systems. Initial. Reports suggest they were European, possibly private military contractors rather than official operatives. Plausible deniability. Casualties?" Wedrio's expression darkened. "2 of our guards. Clean shots. Professional work." Using Wedrao's secure tablet, they established an encrypted connection with Intelligence Director Konate. Her face appeared on the screen, tension evident in her expression. "Mr. President, we've made several breakthroughs," she began. "First, we've identified the financial sources behind the transactions to the 3 ministers. The money originated from shell companies, linked to DGSE, French Foreign Intelligence. Are the ministers actively collaborating?" "It appears only Foreign Minister Traoré is a willing participant. The transactions to Dio and Swadogo seem to be efforts to frame them. Create division in your cabinet." "Classic destabilization tactic," Wedrao muttered. Konate continued. "Second, we've intercepted communications suggesting tomorrow's operation will be bigger. They're calling it Grand Finale, referring to targets across Ouagadougou." "Terrorism," Traoré said grimly. "They'll create chaos, blame it on extremist groups, then offer French military assistance that we will be in no position to refuse. Third," Konate said, "and perhaps most importantly, we've identified the voice on the phone." She hesitated. "It's Jean-Paul Mercier." The name hit Traoré like a physical blow. Mercier had been his mentor at the French military academy, where Traoré had trained as a young officer. They had remained in contact over the years, with Mercier offering advice during Traoré's rise to power. He had trusted the man. "You're certain?" "Voice analysis is 97% confident. And we've confirmed he arrived in Ouagadougou 3 days ago on a diplomatic passport." By dawn, they had devised a strategy. Rather than arresting Traoré immediately, they would feed him specific misinformation that Traoré was planning to secretly leave the country, accepting the ultimatum's terms. This false intelligence would flow through Traoré to Mercier, potentially disrupting whatever operations were planned for the day. Meanwhile, Konate would continue investigating the planned Grand Finale attacks, while Defense Minister Zongo would quietly position loyal military units near critical infrastructure and civilian centers. As for the Chinese delegation scheduled to arrive that evening for tomorrow's signing, Traoré made a bold decision. He would personally contact the Chinese ambassador and request that they proceed as planned, but with full awareness of the situation. "We will not be intimidated into abandoning this partnership," he told the ambassador via secure line. "But Cannot guarantee your delegation's safety with absolute certainty. The Chinese ambassador's response was measured.
President Traoré, China respects Burkina Faso's sovereignty and your government's right to form partnerships without foreign interference. Our delegation will arrive as scheduled. We will face these threats together. By mid-morning, the misinformation
planted with Foreign Minister Traoré appeared to be working. Surveillance on the minister showed him making urgent calls from a private phone. Intercepted fragments suggested he was reporting that Traoré was preparing to flee, having secured promises of exile in a neighboring country. That small victory was short-lived. At 11:23 a.m., a series of explosions rocked downtown Ouagadougou. The central bank, the main hospital, and the national radio station were all hit simultaneously with precision charges, similar to the warning explosion from the previous day, but this time in crowded buildings. Traoré watched the news footage in horror from his temporary command center. Initial casualty reports were coming in, at least 27 dead, over 100 injured. The hospital attack was particularly devastating, targeting the power systems and emergency room. His secure phone rang. Mercier again. Still think you can win? This game, Ibrahim? The use of his first name, once a sign of mentorship and friendship, now felt like a mockery. These are innocent civilians, Jean-Paul. This isn't a game. It's always been a game. Global politics, resource control, spheres of influence, moves and counter-moves. You've played well, I'll grant you that. Better than we expected from a former colonial subject. The condescension fueled Traoré's resolve. You taught me strategy at the academy. Perhaps too well. Not well enough, it seems. Did you really think I wouldn't anticipate your attempt to feed false information through Traoré? He's been a French asset for years. But we don't trust him any more than you do. Traoré maintained his composure. What do you want, Jean-Paul? Really? You've killed innocent people. You've threatened my family.